Welcome back. I'm continuing with the track that I made in Suno AI a couple of weeks ago. And just a quick reminder.
I used to be trapped in a cage of my own making.
I made one edit here to chop out about a minute's worth of just sort of instrumental stuff. And it's working quite well, the track. So I mixed that down and exported it to Spectral Layers Pro, which is where I do my stem splitting. I've loaded the stems back in Cubase so I can hide these tracks. And let's just make sure it's what we were expecting.
I used to be trapped in a cage of my own making.
It's not the greatest separation, but that I think is related to the fact that the way the AI generates the music, it's not starting with separate elements, it's kind of building them all at once. But that's my theory. Anyway, I'm sure there's some of you out there that are looking for free options for stem splitting. And one of the latest ones is actually our old friend Audacity.
I used to be trapped in a cage of my own making.
I've loaded the Audacity stems up against the Spectral Layers stems. As you can see, I only did split it vocals and instrumental. You can do it to all four like here, but for the purposes of this demo, don't really need to do that. And to be fair, the Audacity stem separation takes quite a long time on my computer. Let's just compare the two sets of vocals and see if one's better than the other. Starting with Spectral Layers.
I used to be trapped in a cage of my own making. I used to be trapped in a cage of my own making.
You know, they're very close. I can hear the sort of second voice, the lower voice, a little bit more in the Audacity. So it's technically done probably a little bit better job, but I don't actually want to hear that voice because we want to do audio to MIDI tracking. So the cleaner the voice, the better. So sorry, Audacity, you guys can go back to the hidden zone. Right. Using the Spectral Layers version, I am now going to try and optimize it by cleaning up the effects on it because there's quite a lot of reverb on this vocal. Let's just have a listen.
Reach for the sky.
It's actually delay probably and reverb, so it's, you know, it's a little bit messy, and those can come out as like weird words from the audio to MIDI because it doesn't really know what it's up against. What I like to do is a couple things. I mean, you could try a de-reverb plugin if you have it. The other alternative is the easiest way, is that mostly reverb is in stereo channels, right? So if we were to take something like MSED, which is a free mid-side adjustment, well, you can see I've already done it there, but so if I unmute that and turn the mid channel down, you'll hear what we're trying to get rid of.
I used to be trapped in a cage of my own making.
Let's just get rid of the side and have a listen to that last bit there.
Making.
Yeah, it's lowered it quite a bit, so that was good. And then the other thing you can try is actually putting a noise gate in afterwards. I'm just using the Cubase stock one here. So let's just use the default settings, see what we get.
Move on.
Not bad. I might put the release down a little bit. Let's go back to that previous chunk actually. Oh, that's good. Bypass. Okay, I'll render this to be used for audio to MIDI conversion in Synthesizer V. All right, I've loaded the vocals and the instrumental, and I've got a track prepared to be Solaria. So let's just have a quick listen to the...
I used to be...
That's the one. And of course, I just do the extract notes from audio. I'll leave it default. I'll turn off the transfer pitch though. Go. Okay, looking good. Let's mute the original vocal and I'll unmute the instrumental. And let's have a listen.
I used to be wrapped in a cage of low pour, make it in. But now I'm free to move on, and my heart is breaking. It's unspitting over time.
Okay, the vocal tracking's pretty good. Obviously the words are having some serious problems. So I'll just tidy the lyrics up and then we will have a listen to see if anything else needs improving. All right, I've entered all the lyrics in. Just play a bit.
I used to be trapped in.
Okay, so the first thing I do is set the voice to what I think is the best overall for this song. And don't ask me how, but I've arrived at 50% clear, 50% airy, 25% passion. Whoops, where is it there? And then 100% light. And if that actually makes a difference, I don't know, but for whatever reason, I like the sound of it just a bit better.
I used to be trapped in.
For my second pass, I like to adjust the volumes of any notes that need a bit more boost or be brought down a little bit. So in this first phrase,
I used to be trapped in.
the B is too loud. So I set this on loudness and I use this to start with. I line this up here so I know where this is and I just make a little dip underneath. Make sure you check that back because otherwise you're going to end up constantly recreating those.
I used to be trapped in.
Okay, it's not bad. Drag it down just a little bit more.
I used to be trapped in.
Yeah, so I wanted trap to be louder than the B, and that's worked. Next up,
A cage of my own making.
okay, so one of the things I like to do, because I'm in sing mode, right, it's not in the manual mode, is just reduce the vibrato a bit on some of the sustain notes. I mean, this one's not too bad, but sometimes they get a little out of control.
A cage of my own making.
Right?
But now I'm free to move on.
Yeah, there's one that needs adjusting. Okay, and that free was too loud. So same thing, I use that line. Just drag underneath. Audition.
But now I'm free to move on.
Yeah, it's good.
And my heart is breaking.
Okay, so this has a different problem. It's loud enough, but the voice just doesn't sound like she's pushing for those notes.
And my heart is breaking.
It needs the power. So now is the time to start animating in. And if I look at power, I've set some later because I've already started, but I haven't got any here. And so what am I going to adjust?
And my heart is breaking.
I'd like to probably do heart for sure. And then the breaking. So it is may dip down, but for heart and breaking, I'm going to hit the power up. I'm going to leave the others as they are, but I'm going to hit the power on its way up. So let's start with the heart there. So this is going to go up to least, and there's no numbers here, but the maximum's 150. So halfway would be 75. So 100's around here. And I want it to go through to the end. So I'm going to add another point here. Not so many. And then I'm going to just possibly dip this note here. Let's have a listen first.
And my heart is breaking.
Okay, and I'm just going to take this vibrato down a bit.
And my heart is breaking. I'm free to move on.
Right, so you hear that? I mean, we just jumped in the chorus and should be all power again, shouldn't it? So let's have a listen.
I'm free to move on.
So the free for sure sounds like she can't quite hit the note and she's losing the power of her. She's not supporting it well enough. And this on sustain definitely needs the power under it.
I'm free to move on.
So, you know, I'm going to not go fully off. I'm going to go down a bit for the I'm because I don't think it needs the full strength. And then I'll add 2 points and get that up again for the duration. I don't know why I'm dipping it because it's chorus, so it's going to be pretty much high up all the time. But let's just start. Let's imagine we're going to start always like more like 50 power as opposed to 100. And let's back this up a bit.
I'm free to move on to a brighter tomorrow.
See, that second line, I don't think I needed the full power because it already has a bit of that character in it.
To a brighter tomorrow.
Yeah, a little too much vibrato there for me. I like to keep it within the boundaries, basically.
To a brighter tomorrow.
That brighter sounds a little out of control here. Let's listen.
To a brighter tomorrow.
I'm going to just try changing those to Manuel. And then giving it an Alt R.
To a brighter tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that was better.
To a brighter tomorrow.
Sounds like she's rising up to the note. You know, a lot of singers do that. They don't just hit it straight on. They kind of a lot of singers. That is me. I do that all the time. I brought the Synth V Solaria voice into the project, and so let's compare the vocals to the original.
But now I'm free to move on. But now I'm free to move on.
Okay, so Solaria is sounding a little bit unprocessed, so let's get the vocal chain plug in with the settings that I've already made for her specifically. And hopefully that will improve this.
But now I'm free to move on.
So I've got the vocal. Now the next stage normally is to try and figure out the rest of the composition, and that starts with the chords. And again, the thing about these Suno generated tracks is, you know, they're only 192 megabit MP3 files, so they're already a bit rough sounding. The way it's processed, it's like you can hear the vocals and the drums and the bass, but everything else, unless it's a featured instrument, everything else sounds just like kind of tuned noise. And so I'll show you. This is, so we got the drums and the bass. Right, we can make those out. And the vocals.
And my heart is breaking.
But if you listen to the other, which is everything else, really not a lot to work with there for the chord detection. So I'll try it. Let's just zoom out. I will add a chord track and drag that in. So it's found, well, I know what the chords are now because I'll show you in a second, but it's C, A flat, B flat, G7, not sure about that, C minor, A flat, B. I can tell you right now that most of these Suno compositions tend to be the same chords throughout. So when I'm seeing an F minor 7 there, I know that's probably wrong. The G7 question mark over that. And the keys here, look, it's going A sharp blues, F blues, F blues, G major. So obviously the chord track is struggling a bit with this. And to save time, I just actually do it all in a different program. What I do is I have the instrumental version of this somewhere. Here we go. I'm going to take this track into another program, which you may not have seen before, called Dakota. Okay, so I will open this project. Instrument, open. So it's analyzed the chords, which is cool. If you open this little window here, it's also giving me the key, C minor, and the tempo. So that's handy. And of course you can play, and it's divided the song up into chunks with how it's recognized, like where the changes are. Now what's interesting is, it's telling me C minor, but it's giving me C as the opening chord, which is not usually the case. It's usually C minor as the opening chord, the root chord. And that seems fairly consistent. Let's have a look through. It's absolutely convinced it's C. Let's just open this first chunk. What we can do, which is really cool, and which is why I use this program, is you can actually go look at the spectral version of the track. So I can see the bass down here. That's on C, no problem. And this is more bass probably. So the faint ones here are the little bits of information that it's getting to decide what chord is what. And what's cool is you can hold down. You hear my synth tone? So it's playing the music like a frozen kind of grain. But you can hear when the pitch is wrong. So if I'm on A flat and the note's G, you can really hear it. And another cool feature is if I right click the chord, I can play just that chord. And it's playing the chord over top for us. I don't have to try and select it myself here. And if that weren't enough, I can actually try other chords out while it's playing. So if I put a C minor in there, so it does not lie. It is actually C natural, C major. So really, the one C minor that I saw is the odd man out here. There it is. Oh, and this is happening during one of these kind of so let's try that chord technique. Yeah, it doesn't sound right. Okay, so now I've changed it to C. Right, that sounds good. So I'm just going to have a quick look and see if there's any chords that look, because, you know, it's pretty straightforward, this track. Everything's on the bars. So if I see anything that's not on a bar, it will be suspicious. All looks good. You know, I may have to do a few tweaks when I get back into Cubase, but I'm happy with this. And so what I can do is export this as a song. And I've already done it once, so you can see that. I'll save it. Okay, enough of that. Let's go back to Cubase. Let's just do a bit of tidying. So I'm not going to use the chord track, so I'll remove that. I don't need the instrumental bit anymore, so I will hide that. And so we got the original stems. I'm going to use our new Solaria vocal and import the MIDI file. Now that's jumped in at 0. I have an offset on my projects. So 1, first chord lines up with that. So that's all good. And I'll need a sound for that. I'm just going to use a piano. So I've got one I prepared earlier. And I can just drag this clip to that track and remove that. And like magic, there we go. So let's drop this with just the vocal for the moment.
I used to be trapped.
And the drums. Let's drop this with just the vocal for the moment.
I used to be trapped in a cage of my own making, but now I'm free to move on, and my heart is breaking. I'm free to move on to a brighter tomorrow.
Okay, so we're well on our way to recreating this track that was generated in Suno. I'm not going to do it all now because this video would be an hour long. So I guess there'll be a part 3. In part 3, I'll find some sounds to recreate what Suno gave us and make a track. Hopefully this was useful, and I'll see you soon.